Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Dr. Elzeiny from the Weekend Islamic School calling calling on Zoom to teach the Arabic class, and today we're going to be reviewing lesson number 10, and we're going to be doing together homework number 10. Lesson number 10 is about adding two nouns together. And the adding two nouns together is called in Arabi al-jar wal-majroor. Al-jar wal-majroor. Okay, so al-jar wal-majroor, and here is which is adding two nouns, specifying a noun or qualifying a noun with another noun, which is here rule 295. Okay, you want to say, for example, you want to say the book of the boy or the boy's book. The boy is qualifying the book. Or you can say the book of a boy's book. Or you can say, you want to say Muhammad's car. So Muhammad is qualifying the car. It belongs to Muhammad. Muhammad's car. Or the watch of a girl, or girl's watch. In this way we are qualifying a noun using another noun, which is called Modaf ومضاف إليه. Examples of doing that: there are rules regarding this, which is and this rule is basically regarding removing the noun in case if it is a dual noun. If the Modaf is a dual noun and ends with a noun, of course if it's a dual noun it ends with a noun, then we want to remove this noun. And if it's a regular male plural ends with a noun, we want to remove this noun. And these are examples here. These are examples. So here, in the case of 2M, where if it's a dual male, instead of saying, we would like to qualify the player here. Here is the soccer player. We would like to qualify the player to be a soccer player. So the soccer is to qualify the player. So it's not any player, it's a soccer player. Or he or she is a soccer player. In this case, is soccer player. لاعب الكرة. لاعب الكرة. لاعب الكرة. لاعب الكرة. لاعب player. الكرة soccer player. Soccer game, which is the so لاعب الكرة, the soccer player. We can see here that لاعب is a noun, is a 1M single male noun, and it is marfu' because that's the default case. It's marfu', and marfu' in this case is dhamma. We can get it from right here. This is singular male or female. Marfu', which is the default case. Marfu' is always the default case. Here, this is always the default case, and it is dhamma. Okay, so that's why we're saying لاعبو الكرة. Now الكرة is the added noun مضاف إليه. So لاعبو is المضاف. الكرة is المضاف إليه. Okay. And the الكرة here, the grammar rule says that المضاف إليه is always مجرور. Always مجرور. Always مجرور. Meaning what? Meaning if we go up here, we say here مضاف إليه is always مجرور, means if it's 1M or 1F it is كسرة. If صرف is allowed. If صرف is not allowed, then it's فتحة. If it's 2M or 2F, then it's ياء. If it's 3 plus M, then it's ياء. If it's 3 plus F, then it's كسرة. So for singular or for a regular plural, if صرف is allowed, it's كسرة, otherwise it's فتحة. And for all other cases, it's either and for the dual cases, 2 male or 2 female, it's ياء. For 3 plus regular male, for 3 plus male regular male plural, it's ياء. And for regular female plural, 3 plus F, it is كسر. Okay? So here we notice that we have al-kurati, we have kasra at the end, under the ta marbuta. We have the haraka is kasra. لاعبو الكرة. لاعبو الكرة. Okay. Now, what if we want to make it a female? What if we want to make it a female? Then the لاعبو, which is the player, if I want to change it from one male to one female, I just add ta'nith. So instead of becomes لاعبو, becomes لاعبة. So now لاعبة is a female, is a girl, is a woman. Female, لاعبة. لاعبو is a boy or a man. لاعبو. Okay? So, but the qualifying noun, which is al-kura, soccer game, is also is still the same, doesn't change. Okay? So we can see the rules here that the first noun is called مضاف, the second noun is called مضاف إليه. The مضاف إليه specifies the مضاف, qualifies or describes the مضافs, in other words. And the مضاف is not specific. It is made specific by the مضاف إليه. For example, the word books in case of girl's book. In case of this game, in the case of this example, كتاب الولد. Okay, the word books, which is كتاب, or the word book, which is كتاب, and it's a generic noun. But when we are saying Muhammad or Muhammad's book, then we're specifying the books to belong to Muhammad. So that's what we mean by مضاف and مضاف إليه. The first noun, which is al-mudaf, can never have tanween, can never have alif lam, but it can have a kasra. It can have a kasra, depends on if the sarf is allowed or not. The second noun, which is al-mudaf ilayh, must be majroor all the time, and may have alif lam, or may not have alif lam. And it can also have tanween or kasra if sarf is allowed. But if the mudaf is dual or regular male plural, then the noun is removed. The noun is removed. So, and we're going to be practicing this now in the homework, but let's go over this example. Here, this is the case of one male. It doesn't end with noon, so there's no need to remove the noon. For one female, there's no noon at the end, so there's no need to remove the noon. But in the case of two male or two female, we notice that we will have it will always end up with alif noon, or for two male or two female, it's always going to end up with alif noon. And in this case, what we want to do, we want to remove the noon. The noon is to be removed. So there are these three cases: dual male, dual female, or a regular male plural. The noun ends with the noon is removed. See here? Okay. If I don't remove the noon, if I just combine the two nouns, لاعبان الكرة, together, then it's going to be لاعبان الكرة. لاعبان الكرة. But because there's a rule that says that we remove this noon, then we say, instead of saying لاعبان الكرة, we say لاعب الكرة. لاعب الكرة. If it's a two female, then before the alif noon at the end we have ta التأنيث. So the female noon ends with ta alif noon. لاعبتان الكرة. لاعبتان الكرة. We remove the noon, so it becomes لاعبتا الكرة. So لاعبان الكرة becomes لاعبا الكرة. لاعبتان الكرة becomes لاعبتا الكرة. لاعبون الكرة becomes لاعبو الكرة. becomes لاعبو الكرة. لاعبو الكرة. Okay. So we're removing the noon. We remove the noon in the case of 2m, 2f, 3 plus m, which is dual male, dual female, plural male. Then we are removing the noon. Okay. Other than that, we just combine the two nouns without removing the first noun with the second noun. We combine them without removing anything. Without removing anything. Different examples. If we want to say the boys built, the boys built. The boys built, it could be definite, the boys, or could be indefinite, like boys. So the boys built, this built belongs to the boys, but this boys built means this built belong to usually boys wear this belt. Girls don't wear these kind of belts. So that's why we say boys built. Okay. So here the boy is الولد, and it is مضاف إليه, so it is مجرور, and it is مجرور, then it is كسرة. مجرور with كسرة, because it's a single male now. This is الولد, boy. حزام is the belt. Now, to make the belt for the word belt to be double noun, dual noun, male, then I add alif noon to حزام, so it becomes حزاماني. حزاماني. Okay. So now when I add حزاماني الولدي together, I must drop the noon, so it becomes حزام الولدي. حزام الولدي. That's the default case when the word حزامان, حزاماني is مرفوع. But if it mansub, then it is, in this particular case, which is the case of dual male, it's the mark that shows that this noun is marfu' is alif. But if it's mansub, if it's majroor, then it is حزامي الولد. حزامي الولد. And this one is حزامي الولد too. Because here it's mansub marfu' dual marfu' with alif, and mansub and majroor with ya. So this one, I think it's it's a good idea to fix it. It's not, this is here like that, حزامي الولد, because it's مجرور منصوب and مجرور with ياء مرفوع with ألف. So this ألف is sign, it's مرفوع, and this ياء here, it is the mark that shows it is the sign that shows it's منصوب, and this is the sign that shows it's مجرور. It's both are ياء, so both are the same. Okay, so how about if the word built is is a single noun, then it is, and the sarf, default case here, sarf is allowed. So mansub, single noun, sarf is allowed. Then marfu' dhamma mansub, the sign for marfu' is dhamma, the sign for mansub is fatha, the sign for mansub majroor is kasra. Okay, we see here that this is حزام مرفوع ضمة, حزامة منصوب فتحة, حزامي مجرور كسرة. Okay, now let's similar thing is done here. If another example, if we have the, say, the players' homes or players' home. Home is a single male noun, and it's called manzil. Now, if it's marfu' is the default case, so say manzilu, manzilu. So we're trying to add the two nouns, مضاف ومضاف إليه, player's home, to qualify the home to belong to the players. So the mudaf, which is the home, manzil, could be marfu', which is the default case, or could be mansub, could be majroor. The sign for marfu' is dhamma, the sign for majroor, which is manzilu, the sign for mansub is fatha, which is manzila, the sign for majroor is kasra, which is manzili, manzili, manzilu, manzila, manzili. Okay, and that's the sign. That's for the mudaf. Modaf Ilyh is two players, two female players, and Modaf Ilyh is always majroor, and majroor for 2f is the sign of majroor for 2f is ya. So لاعبتين here, the word لاعبتين, which is Modaf Ilyh, لاعبتين, the word لاعبتين could be لاعبتان or لاعبتين. These are the two available alternatives. Why I chose لاعبتين, not لاعبتان, is because we have here, we know that marfu' is alif, mansub and majroor is ya. So since we're dealing with Modaf Ilyh is always majroor. Majroor in the case of two female, dual female is ya. So the word, regardless of its marfu', mansub or majroor, if the mudaf is marfu', Modaf Ilyh is majroor. Modaf Ilyh is always majroor. If the mudaf is marfu', Modaf Ilyh is majroor. If the mudaf is mansub, Modaf Ilyh is majroor. If the mudaf is majroor, Modaf Ilyh is majroor. So regardless what is the grammatical classification or the i'rab of the Modaf Ilyh is always majroor. Okay? Now, the word home also called manzil and also means bait. So in this example here, I used bait as a translation for home. For this example here, I used manzil as a translation for home. Okay. So bait, if it's for 2 plus m, bait is 2 plus m. I'm sorry, it's for 2m, not 2 plus m. It's for 2m. Okay. So bait is for 2m. Baitani is for, bait is for 1m, one single male. Baitani for 2m. So baitani. So when we're adding the مضاف baitani to مضاف إليه اللاعبين, I drop the noun of baitani. You notice here, instead of baitani اللاعبين, it becomes بيت اللاعبين. Same thing if it's mansub, بيت اللاعبين. Same thing if it's مجرور, بيتي اللاعبين. بيتي اللاعبين. Instead of say بيتين اللاعبين, we say بيتي اللاعبين. Instead of بيتين اللاعبين, becomes بيتي اللاعبين. Okay. Now, let's do the homework. Which is to translate from English to Arabic. These are words مضاف and مضاف إليه here. And let's pick the first example. The first example says, I want to translate the watches of the players or the players' watches. Either or. In English we can say it both ways. In Arabic it's only one way, which is ساعة اللاعب. How do I translate that? Watch from the Google Translator. Watch is ساعة. Watch is ساعة. So we go to Google Translator here. And we say watch. Let's see if it's offering alternatives. Yes, here we go. Okay. It's insisting on giving me small timepiece worn typically on a strap. Okay, now how do I choose this to be the translation? It's right, it's not giving me, yeah, right here, ساعة. الساعة.
الساعة.
Well, الساعة. So الساعة is watch from Google Translator or from any other dictionary. Sa'a is watch. And player is لاعب. Okay, so watches, if ساعة, if the word ساعة, this is the word ساعة. This is the word ساعة. And there's another nice font we can use, Tahoma. It's nice font. I like it. So ساعة, then we can invoke the keyboard to do the تشكيل. ساعة تن. That's the raw form ساعة. ساعة. We stop, we say ساعة, but because it's تاء مربوطة, when we stop we say هاء, but I will ignore this and stop and not say it say it تاء. ساعة. ساعة. So that's the first word, and the second word is that's watch. Player is لاعب. Player is لاعب. لا sorry. The keyboard is giving me a hard time. So لا لا أي لاعب. We have لاعب and ساعة. ساعة, the watch. لاعب, player. Okay, so these are the two words that I'm مضاف and مضاف إليه that I want to add combined together to make the structure, the desired structure. Okay, now I say I want the watch to be two female. Two female. So the watch is a female word in Arabic, which is ساعة. I want to make it two, so I add alif noon. So I take this word and I want to make it two. It's right now it's one F. The word is ساعة. Right now it's one F. I want to make it two F, so I would say ساعتان. ساعتان. Okay. ساعتان. And then, and the other word, which is the in the homework, the word is لاعب, and لاعب is 1M, one player, 1M, 1M. Okay. So لاعب right now, the form of لاعب right now, it's 1M, so I don't need to change it. So ساعتان لاعب. Okay, so now I want to combine them together to make the expression, to make the structure مضاف ومضاف إليه. To make the structure مضاف and مضاف إليه, I want to add them together. So I want to combine ساعتان, and here there is the. So there is the, which means it's definite noun. It has alif lam in it. So we can just say alif lam. Yeah, that's what's causing the problem. That we should be selecting it that way. ساعتا, it's ساعتان. And this one we said we're going to add alif lam. Because it is there. So when we add them together, we should be adding, say, ساعتان, and then اللاعب. When we add them together, we said مضاف إليه, which is the second noun, is always مجرور. Okay, so is always مجرور. Sign for مجرور, according to rule 285, sign for مجرور is kasra. So we put a kasra here, اللاعب. So ساعتان اللاعب. Now there's the rule that says that you cannot have this noun. This noun has to be taken out. So then the final composition is going to be ساعتا اللاعب, or ساعتا اللاعب, ساعتا اللاعب, ساعتا اللاعب. And this is what we have here in the homework. ساعة اللاعب. If we wanna make it instead of one لاعبي اللاعبي, we make it two, instead of one player, we make it two players here. Then we want to change the word. So what are the changes that we need to do in order to make it 2M, the players 2M instead of the player single male? Here, the changes are, the word ساعة is the same, but to change this اللاعب from 1M to 2M, then we add ألف نون اللاعباني. Tahoma font, my favorite. ساعة اللاعباني. Okay. ساعة اللاعباني. Now, what do I change? What are the changes that need لاعباني? Let's finish the تشكيل. What changes that need to be made to make it 3 plus M is to make it the players 3 plus M. So for 1M it's اللاعبي, for 2M it's اللاعباني. So what do we need to do to make it 3 plus M? Is to add, I have two alternatives, either ياء نون, either اللاعبين, or actually 3 plus M. I have two forms, either اللاعبون واو نون or اللاعبين ياء نون. I have both choices. Which one is valid? It is the one that it is we need to do the مجرور, because this is مضاف إليه اللاعبون or اللاعبين مضاف إليه, so it's مجرور, and we know for مجرور here it is the, for مجرور it is الياء. The sign for مجرور is ياء. The sign for مجرور is ياء. Here, the sign for مجرور 3M, 3 plus M, مجرور is ياء. So that's why it is ساعة اللاعبين, not ساعة اللاعبون. ساعة اللاعبين, not ساعة اللاعبون. Okay, so now اللاعبين ساعة اللاعبين. ساعة اللاعبين. Okay, now to change this into, to change in the player from, so the first one was the player is 1M, the first example, the first case here. The second case here, the player is 2M, and the third case here is the player 3 plus M. Now we want to do the player, if the player is 1F, if the player is 1F. Okay, if the player is 1F, then all I need to do is just take the original form that has 1M here and just add ta'nith at the very end. So I just take this, copy it from here, paste it right here, and just add ta'nith. And as the sign for majroor, because the second noun is Modaf Ilyh is majroor. Majroor for single nouns is kasra. So here becomes al-la'ibi, and when I add the ta' marbuta to make it a female, then the ta' marbuta becomes the one that has the kasra, so it becomes al-la'ibati. So al-la'ibi, al-la'ibati. Now, what if I want to make it لعبتي, instead of one female, I make it two female. Okay, so I pick the form for 1F and I change it. What do I need to change? So change the font to my favorite font, Roma. So basically اللعبة should be اللعبتان. So open the تاء مربوطة becomes تاء مفتوحة, تاء, and then add the ألف نون. Why do we change the تاء مربوطة to تاء مفتوحة? Because you cannot have a تاء مربوطة except at the end of the word. If you have if the تاء is not at the end of the word, that cannot be مربوطة. So we convert the مربوطة تاء into مفتوحة تاء, which is the female تاء, and تاني. Okay, now we have two choices. We have تاني, ساعة اللاعبتان, or ساعة اللاعبتين. So we have the choice of either اللاعبتان or اللاعبتين. Either ألف or ياء. Which one? We know that مجرور, مضاف إليه is مجرور. مجرور is, the sign for مجرور is ياء. The sign for مجرور is ياء. Therefore it is لاعبتين. لاعبتين is the right answer. Okay, so لاعبتي. لاعبتين. اللاعبتين. ساعة اللاعبتين. If I want to make it 3 instead of the players being 2 females, make them plural females, plural females, or regular female plural, 3 plus F, then the only thing that needs to change here is, instead of لاعبتين becomes اللاعبات. اللاعبات. And why اللاعبات is because for 3 plus F مجرور is كسرة. So it's اللاعبات. We could say اللاعبات, we could say اللاعبات, we could say اللاعبات, we could say اللاعبات, 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 اللاعبات. We select اللاعبات because it is the case for مجرور for 3 plus F. Okay, and this one is اللاعبات. Okay, the boys' cars, 2 males for the boys, 2 females for the cars. If I want to change that into, instead of 2 male, I make it 2 female, which is girls. Then I would say, instead of الولدين, I would say, let me, after I paste them, let me change the font. We're going to say البنتين. 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 Now we had two choices. We had البنتين and we had البنتان, and we didn't know which one to use. The one to use is the البنتين, because بنتان if it's مرفوع, بنتين if it's مجرور or منصوب, and we know مضاف إليه is مجرور always, so مضاف إليه is always this. This is always the مضاف إليه. It's always like that. This column here, column number 6. So it's ياء البنتين. Now to make them and we notice that سيارة originally it was سيارتان, but this one is taking out. The noun is taking out according to this rule here. The rule removing the noun. Alright.